So to kick off the question and answer session, maybe I'd like to ask all the panelists what their view is. What does it take from a cultural mindset perspective to make this work? And maybe anybody can go first.
Okay, I'll take a shot. I think that's a little far-fetched. For a small company, I think one location is hard enough to work on, maybe two at best. And so even the ones that have two locations, it's pretty hard, especially if there are two locations like India and the U.S. with the 12-and-a-half-hour time difference and so on and so forth. So I've seen maybe two work if there's enough of a management commitment to it and if the business is aligned properly. But I think 3 or 4 locations for a small company is fraught with risk. And I think you'll spend much more time in managing problems and travel and burn yourself out with midnight phone calls. And after a while, I think things are going to fall apart. So my 2 cents is maybe 2 locations, but 3 or 4 for a small company is going to be pretty hard.
If you focus on the Canadian industry, which is obviously my background, we execute business across a very diverse geography, a very large country, in a very narrow band of business, concentrated in a couple of urban centers. So we are often found collaborating over distance. I would fully agree, by the way, with the complexity. The more participants you add, you take a quantum leap forward in the complexity of that engagement. But partnerships are based really on the exchange of value you both jointly recognize and both jointly pursue. And so the conditions within Canada have really created that sort of collaborative spirit that has to pervade all of this already. And it's my contention that if I can effectively partner with an organization in the Northwest Territories, which I've done, which is 5,000 to 6,000 miles away, I can constructively partner with an organization that may be in, as your minister was saying recently, in a tier 2 city. It is just as credible to do that. I think the core issue, and I would say this is a question that we're struggling with within Canada right now, is to ensure that our value proposition on a global basis is well understood in terms of what we do, and that we present ourselves credibly in that space and acknowledge the attributes of others in other parts of the world for their merits as well.
I have to agree with Paul. In Australia there are 9 jurisdictions. There are states, a federated model, and a number of territories. Now, while you would think we have language in common, and of course that's true, although there are some dialect differences which can make life interesting, the collection of taxes, payroll tax, basic company taxes are all at a state level. So, as Paul's mentioned in Canada, Australian companies become very adept at managing different systems, different financial systems, different regulations, different workers' compensation, different whatsoever. And if you add New Zealand in, then that's a 9th player. In fact, many Australian startups find it easier to go offshore than they do to establish So it's a complex environment. I think it really does come down to what suits individual organisations, the sort of help that they get. The reference to using associations is a very valid one. You need institutionalised help that you can get through associations that exist in the countries to help you be successful.
Yeah, I'll just add, I agree with MR. Two is eminently doable. 3, I think you have to get to 3 locations, you have to get to a certain scale, and you have to think very hard about it. It is tough. I'm not really sure about 4. Haven't tried 4. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of mindset, other than just willingness not to sleep that much, because at the end of the day, it does become a big challenge. I think it just boils down to very consciously saying you have to hire great people and invest in great systems and process and not be top-down. Because if you're top-down and every time there's a problem, they wait for headquarters and then you really never sleep. But if you find great people and consciously say we're going to empower them so that they can figure out the solutions on a decentralized basis, I think that's what you have to build seek to build from day one.
Thanks. So with that, let's open it up for questions. I see a hand going up there.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, my name is Arvind from Monsoon. I had a little bit to Sharad's thing. In the B2 or 3 is a complexity, but give an example. Your village is not that jurisdiction. So we've raised money all across the globe: America, India, Hong Kong, Singapore, European Union. We've got development in India, Russia, and US, with a partner in Canada. We are selling in Taiwan, Japan, US, and everywhere. Experience possibility. We really want to do a product development with the tools that we have right now, with instant messenger and Skype and voice over IP calls, and programmers like to stay up.
Thanks, Arvind. There's a hand going up there. Yeah.
I'm Zarina Raos from Managing Across Cultures. I think the scheme that Sharad has put forward is certainly the way of the future as we go global in the global marketplace. And I think the 3 or 4 locations are not so unrealistic because you have to source from the best available and combine that. I think one of the things, and I speak from my biased perspective, is you need really skilled cross-cultural support to help the different cultures flow smoothly. And even for medium-sized companies, I think getting the best and creating a team and inspiring them to work would give you the strongest advantage. But don't forget the cross-cultural perspectives that you need to bring.
Just behind you, there's a hand going up.
I was just going to add another point to that because it came out in some conversations over the last couple of days that often organisations employ local people for exactly that cross-cultural expertise and on-the-ground experience, but then people get involved and don't listen to the local expertise. So I just want to agree and concur with that it's very important to do that.